Reddit, what are some driving tips and tricks that everyone should know about? Please subscribe, leave a like, comment and share the video to help the channel. A good portion of safe driving is anticipating what people around you want to do. Typically it's pretty clear when someone wants to change lanes. Even if they don't have their blinker on, 9 times out of 10 it makes your life easier to give them a little space so they can come in. If you can't immediately tell if there's a car in your blind spot, check it. If the car in front of you is accelerating towards the car in front of it, expect it to switch lanes. Don't overtake trailers or buses through corners. The easiest way to gauge a vehicle's intentions is by watching its tire positioning regards to its lane. If you are pressing down hard on the brake as you approach a stoplight or something, right before you stop completely, let off the brake a fair amount, then slowly depress the pedal again. That way you can stop fully and gracefully without the forceful jolt back into your seat. Seems kind of simple and might be common knowledge, but ever since a friend taught me that, it's been a life changer. If your turn signals sound quicker or blink quicker than usual, it's an indication that your bulb needs to be replaced. Use a fucking blinker. Don't assume that everyone is driving an automatic. Stopping directly up someone's ass, especially on a hill, is a dick move as it is. Leave enough space just in case you get a manual newbie in front of you and they need to roll back a bit to catch their clutch. Every few seconds you should be looking as far ahead in traffic as you can, so you're prepared if there are sudden stops. It also lets you identify the patterns, so you can switch lanes safer and easier. I'm always amazed at the speed demons who switch lanes just to slam on their brakes because they didn't look ahead to see if they could pass safely. Haven't seen this, and you'd be surprised. You can turn right at red lights unless a sign informs you otherwise. I drove for nearly 6 months before someone told me. They never covered it in driver's ed. Parents never said anything while teaching, etc. I think it's one of those things that falls through the cracks because of just plain more important things. That said, no one should be parallel parking and not have been taught that. Also, in most places you can turn left on red from a one-way to another one-way. That one blew my mind about a year later because it really is rare enough that it only occurs in most towns in like 1 to 2 places. Edit for clarification. On a one-way to one-way turn at a red light, you must be in the inside lane, otherwise no dice. I'd spell it out, but just think for a second. The logistics of turning in front of the inside lane at a red light could suck. When you merge into a highway, accelerate till you match the road flow. Even if you're driving within the speed limits, notice the flow of the road. Sometimes you need to drive faster / slower than the speed limit. The left lane is for overtaking only. Don't stay on it unless you're overtaking. You're driving down a highway and the traffic is going 60 miles per hour. You're going from point A to point B, which is roughly 40 miles away. If you speed at 75 miles per hour the whole way and swerving in and out of traffic, you'll get there in 32 minutes compared to 40 minutes if you drive the normal speed limit. Congratulations, you just saved yourself a whopping 8 entire minutes by driving like an asshole and potentially causing an accident. Leave earlier, or, more importantly, just drive safely, you prick. Tangentially related to driving, when replacing headlights, check to see if they are angled right. If they are too high they can seem like your brights are on, potentially causing problems for both oncoming vehicles and vehicles you are behind. Letting your car run after turning it on for 30 seconds then driving under 25 miles per hour for a good 3-5 minutes saves you a bunch in repairs in the future. And getting your oil change on time will give your car at least a 200,000 mile life, most likely more. A lot of people set their car's side mirrors way too far in. Ideally they should be turned out until the sides of your car are barely visible in them. You'll get much better views of the traffic in other lanes if you do it this way. Tip 1. Never let your anger get the best of you. Just because that one asshole cut you off doesn't mean you need follow him to his house and key the fuck out of his car. Tip 2. Never overestimate your driving ability. You will fuck up, Coming from a guy who has overestimated his driving ability. When driving next to a farm and it happens to smell like cow shit, press the button on your center console that looks like a car with a half circle and an arrow, the recirculation button. It will circulate the air inside the car instead of using the intake, which uses the outside air, and the smell will dissipate in no time. You'll thank me on your next road trip. Practice emergency stops regularly. So many people have no idea how hard they can push the brake pedal. I've talked to people who are scared they'll break it or the car doing a big stop. Pro tip, you won't. If your car has abs, and most do these days, stand on the pedal. Bury it in the floor, like you're trying to push it through into the engine bay. Lots of people have no idea what the abs intervention will feel like. You'll hear rapid clunking, and you'll feel the brake pedal vibrating back at your foot. Keep pushing. If possible, keep the car pointed straight. It will help maximize its stopping ability. Push that pedal into the fucking floor. The car can take it. A lot of people experience that for the first time in an emergency, freak out because they feel like something is going wrong, and get off the brake some. That's why practicing it is essential. Be familiar with it, because one day you're going to have an emergency for real, where you don't have the option of getting off the brakes. Practicing means you're familiar with the feel and familiar with how much space is required to stop at a given speed. If you ride motorbikes, this all goes triple with how many fuckwits there are out there, cutting you off and not seeing you to pull out in an intersection. Emergency stops regularly. I do it every other month. Go find a straight, quiet bit of road and have a few big stops from speed, just to remember the sensation and how hard I can push. This is kind of a shit thread, because everyone is just giving snarky common sense responses like use your blinker. Anyways, if you have a manual transmission and like to coast down hills in neutral, make sure to apply the gas to bring the car up to at least 3k RPMs before throwing it back into fifth. The range on your car will vary, but basically if you love your transmission you want to practice the art of rev matching. Also, brake before you reach a corner and accelerate through it. One more. Some cars, my old 00 VW for example, have different Easter egg type features. I could put the key in the door lock, turn it to the left quickly, and then turn and hold it to the left again and all the windows rolled down. Nice on a hot day. When holding the steering wheel, do not wrap your thumbs around the wheel. Keep them pointed up, kinda like giving 2 thumbs up. But while driving, if you happen to get in a car accident, your first instinct is to turn the wheel to avoid it. As your vehicle impacts the other object or vehicle in the front, the wheels can suddenly turn from the impact and force the steering wheel to turn extremely fast and hard. If your thumbs are wrapped around the wheel when this happens, it will most likely do 2 things. Break your thumbs or your wrists. Maybe even both thumbs and wrists. This happens because the parts of the wheel that attach to the circle will quickly move around and grab your thumbs and violently jerk them in the direction the steering wheel is traveling. I personally have seen this happen to someone who got into a wreck and the police and medics all stated they broke their wrist because they had their thumbs wrapped around the wheel when they got into the accident. My brother used to drive a Vespa type scooter/bike and said that when he was driving, he always drove as though the other cars couldn't see him. I always keep this in mind now when I'm biking around, but also as a car driver, and it's helped me avoid hurting others by accident. Also, pump your brakes when stopping in snow or rain. Drive looking 3 to 4 cars ahead and regulate your speed accordingly. Nervous drives will tap the brakes reflexively when the car directly in front of them hits theirs, and this causes a ripple effect that slows down the steady flow of traffic for that lane or thoroughfare. Same goes for the reckless jerks who lack spatial awareness, that zoom up to each car ahead of them, slam on the brakes, and just refuse to drive with the flow of traffic. Simply give yourself enough space to decelerate if you see brake lights ahead. That way you can see a slowdown coming and ease into it and negate the ripple effects of drivers with heavy feet. I will note this is difficult to do when you're behind a massive sub. Know how to change the tires of your car. At least practice it once so that you know exactly what needs to be done in the event of a flat tire and you are stranded. Get to know your car's dashboard lights. You do not want to panic when And, if a light comes on when driving on the motorway, turn off the rear fog lights if there is no need for it, because it blinds the drivers behind you. Allow plenty of space when passing a cyclist/bike. Perhaps the most important, stay off your phone. Nothing is more important than your safety and life. My mother told me that you're supposed to speed up quickly on the interstate if a car is getting on and they're beside you, but my car doesn't accelerate well, so typically I need to get over. If I'm in the left lane, I never get right beside a car in the right lane next to an entrance ramp. Often, they will get over quick when they see a car getting on. Avoid other cars' blind spots. Common scenario I see is people dilly-dallying in the fast lane, not really passing anyone. Then a car in the slow lane wants to pass and doesn't see the slow car in the passing lane and nearly sideswipes them when they change lanes with a car in their blind spot has been there for the past 2 miles. Slow in fast lane driver gets pissed other drivers are idiots when they are completely oblivious they created that situation. Assume everyone else is a terrible driver. Do your best to ensure if the cars closest to you do something worthy at the top of /r/idiots and cause you will have enough distance to avoid them. I try and avoid being side by side with cars all the time. Please subscribe, leave a like, comment and share the video to help the channel.